What's going on, you guys? Nick here with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a proper image backup of your PC. Now this is not the only video out here on this, but I've had some people ask me and I frequently do this myself. This can be handy if you're switching to an SSD, upgrading to a larger drive, or just want to make sure you have a good backup of your PC before you make a major change or upgrade your PC. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave comments below with questions. I try to answer every comment I get. This helps the channel and the community grow and develop. Also leave a like if you liked the video, or a dislike if you didn't. But if you do leave a dislike, please tell me why below, because I'm always trying to improve, make these videos more informative, and more helpful to people who are looking for how to do these things that I describe. I'll also be linking to some products in the description. These will be affiliate links, and I might earn a commission if you use them and then purchase the product that they are linked to. I only link to products that I've purchased myself, so not sponsored or given these products for free or anything. These are just products that I like using in the work environment as well as in my personal life when working with PCs. So, I try to make it as honest as I possibly can. Still feel free to find your own set of tools to use that suits you. Definitely won't hurt my feelings if you don't use my links. They're really just there for your convenience if you just want to follow this video to a T and your hardware happens to line up with mine. All right, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. Okay, so there's numerous options out there, but the tool that we're going to use today is called Macrium Reflect. You can see here I already have it installed, but we're going to go through how to get it and install it because that process is a little bit complicated and some people can be tricked into giving away their email. This Macrium Reflect is a really good product that has both a Windows booted mode, so you can see it's just a program that I can launch off my desktop here from the start menu. It also has a USB bootable media mode, so if your Windows installation is really screwed up or you can't boot it for whatever reason, or you're trying to clone something using an external disk cloner, Macrium can be really helpful there because you can burn an ISO to a USB drive and you can actually boot to the Macrium bootable environment. It's like a Windows PE environment, and you can manage the disks from within there, whether you're cloning to a new drive or just making a backup of your existing drive. It's really, really handy. So the only drawback to Macrium for me is that it isn't open source, and it does kind of pester you to get the pro version a little bit. So what I usually do if I'm using the Macrium Reflect free is I use it for what I need it for, and then I uninstall it. Another great thing about Macrium Reflect, though, it has this Windows VI boot mode, which works hand in hand with Hyper-V in Windows. So you can actually take an image of a computer and then boot it up in Hyper-V as a virtual machine. That can be really useful if you're trying to fix an operating system issue or you have a hardware issue that's causing an operating system issue and you need to uninstall that piece of hardware from the operating system. But the only way to do that is if the operating system is booted. That's just one example. There are others, but that's a really handy tool too. If you need this and you want to use this and you want to use it for business or you want to use it frequently, I strongly encourage you to buy the pro version. However, the free version works really well for just basic stuff like this. And it also offers the ability to just back up your drive on a regular schedule. It can create differencing disks. And anyway, I'm rambling about it. Macrium is a really solid product, even though it's not open source. It's something that I do like and I frequently use. And it appears to be very privacy respecting, and just it's an all-around good product. All right, so to start this process, of course, you'll need the program. So you'll need to get Macrium Reflect, and we're going to cover that in a bit. You'll need external storage or a new drive to store your backup image or to clone to. I've got some links. Again, they're affiliate links. They're in the description for drives that you can get. I use a Western Digital 5 terabyte external to store my images, and then, if I'm upgrading a hard drive, I just do a straight clone. You'll also need a way to interface with the new drive or the backup drive. So if you're using a Western Digital like me, then, it's just a USB drive. It's very easy to plug in and go. But if you're cloning to a new drive and you have some convoluted PCIe NVMe drive, you're going to need an adapter to do that. I use an Asus adapter. It's actually like the ROG one. It's got the full RGB and all that. You don't need all those crazy features, but that said, that is a really, really good adapter. It's really fast. It's all aluminum, so it manages heat really well, and NVMe drives tend to get hot. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I say NVMe, let's go ahead and cover what that is and how you can determine. So you have several types of storage drives and form factors typically for storage in a modern PC. You can have a 3.5 inch hard disk drive, which is exactly what it's 3.5 inches across. You can have a 2.5 inch, which is absolutely the most common and almost the only drive used in laptops today. Either in SATA or either in an SSD or a mechanical drive configuration. So you can have a 2.5 inch laptop drive. Let's see if I can pull up a picture of that real quick, actually. So let's say hard disk drive. Let's look at some pictures. This is a 3.5 inch mechanical drive. This is what you commonly see with that. And then you can see a 2.5 inch mechanical hard drive. And when I say mechanical, I mean it has a literal spinning disk inside of it and an actuator head here. Now, this is with the cover removed. This is normally what you would see, something like this, for a mechanical drive. Western Digital Black, that's a pretty common laptop drive, actually. Typically, we see Western Digital Blacks or Toshiba in laptops. And so, or like Hitachi, I think that's who makes Toshiba now. And they may even be a subsidiary of Western Digital now. I'm not even sure. The companies are big. Anyway, with that out of the way, so we can look at 2.5 inch SSD. You can see here, this is commonly what you see. I like the Samsung 850s, 960s, 970s. Those are really, really good SSDs. I also don't mind using Kingston drives. The only thing with Kingston drives is they can fail. You can get a DOA with Kingston, but their support and warranty service is extremely, extremely good. I mean, it's like you just call them and you tell them your drive died, and they'll just say, "What's your address?" and send you a new one. Like they're really, really good about that. It's almost like they know that some of their drives are just going to be DOA. So I use those for USB drives and also for SSDs that I don't really mind losing the data on. Like I store Steam games on them sometimes on a Kingston SSD because if you lose it, if you lose all that, you can just re-download the game from Steam. It's pretty handy. And also the Kingston drives are really, really cheap. So if you're budget minded in your build, Kingston can be a good option for you as long as you either have a good backup solution or just don't mind losing the data that's on there. So then you can also have PCIe M SATA, which is a drive, well, none of these, here we go. Here's a PCIe M SATA. This is less common now. This was a pretty short-lived form factor. It was mostly used in like laptops and things, but some desktops used them, so just be mindful of what you have. Then you can also have PCIe NVMe. This is the most common new type of storage that you see in laptops, this PCIe NVMe. And, you know, Western Digital Black is one right there. In mine, I think I have a Kioxia. Actually, I know I do. It's a BG4 series because we're going to get into that in a minute. Again, I actually prefer the Samsung 970 Pros, but this Kioxia is what came with my Dell XPS. Very soon, I'm going to be upgrading it to a larger capacity 1 or 2 terabyte Samsung. And I'll probably get some kind of heat sink because the temperature, these things tend to run pretty hot. So it can be helpful to have a heat sink. A lot of custom build motherboards will actually have a PCIe NVMe drive heatsink built into them that kind of fits over the drive with a little bit of thermal padding, so that can be nice too. But anyway, this is what the NVMe looks like. You can have, this is a full length, you can have shorter ones, especially in laptops. The full length ones do a better job of managing heat, and you see them more often in desktops. That's really the only thing there. So let's get into how to determine what type of drive you have in case you just have no idea. What you will do, and it's really easy in Windows 10, so you can just right click, but what I'll show you to do here, hold down the Windows key on your keyboard and hit the R key to pull up the run dialog, or you can right click your start menu and say run. That works on Windows 10 and 11. And type the word task manager, well, not really the words, it's TASKMGR, hit enter, and that'll pull up your task manager. See a bunch of stuff that's running in the background. go to Performance, and that will instantly tell you whether you have a hard disk drive or a solid state drive. And you can see here, I actually do have a 3.5-inch Western Digital, and then I have a PCIe NVMe Kioxia. And then there's my external USB that I'm going to use to create the image when we get to that point in the video. So this doesn't tell you exactly what type it is. I mean, you can see this disk 0 is an HDD, and this is an SSD. So hard disk drive, solid state drive. It doesn't tell you anything. I know just from looking at it that this is a Western Digital Corporation, WD10. So it's a 1 terabyte internal 3.5-inch SATA drive that's used for like large capacity, slower storage. What you can do when you determine what type of drive it is, if you still don't know exactly what it is, you can copy this. This copies everything though in this. You can just type this into the search engine of your choice. And then mine actually brings up a Dell product listing, which is probably, it's XPS, so it's from Dell. And you can see Western Digital Blue WD10EZEX. Cool. That's what I have. And it says 3.5-inch SATA 7200 RPM. So that tells you this is a mechanical drive just from the appearance and also the fact that it says 7200 RPM. There are no RPMs in an SSD because it's solid state with no moving parts. So then when I go back to Task Manager, you can see for my SSD, I have an NVMe, KBG, blah, 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 blah. And it actually says NVMe. Not every drive will say that, but in this case it does. So when I search for that, I find a few results, and I find Kioxia, who I know is the manufacturer of my drive. And you can see here some half mini cards, and mine actually is a half size card. So cool. That's great. Found it pretty easily, and I can confirm that it's an NVMe SSD because this is the manufacturer's website. And that's what I encourage you to use, is either the manufacturer or resellers, like an official reseller like Dell, of these drives to find out what it actually is. And if you're still not sure, you can look at the tech specs and all that. So stay away from like forums where people are telling you, oh, I think it's this drive, I think it's that. Well, if they think it's this and they think it's that and they're wrong, you can either have a drive that won't work in your PC, or you can actually screw up your PC if you try and jam an MSATA into an NVMe. And there's actually different form factors within NVMe, so it's kind of confusing. You want to make sure that you get the right one. And that's going to be up to you to figure out which one is the right one. Okay, so now that we've determined what type of drive we have, we can go ahead and purchase the replacement drive, which I have links for down below, and whatever interface we need to interface with that drive, which I have links for that down below too. What we're going to do next is download Macrium. You can see here I already have the macrium.com/reflect free. I'll put a link to this in the description. This is not an affiliate link. I just like these guys and like their software. Okay, so once you get to the Macrium website, what you need to do is scroll down until you get to Reflect 7 free for backup at home. And you can buy it if you want, but I just use the free version. You hit download free. I need a personal free license. Feed it an email address. It doesn't have to be your personal email address, but it does have to be an email address that you have access to, because that is where they will send you a download link. Once you have the download link, you can, go to the link that they provide to you, save the file if you're using Firefox, or choose where to save it if you're using IE or Edge. And then, see downloaded link here. You can see I've already downloaded it once before. This is actually the downloader for the installer. So free version, yes, yes, yes. Download. Download files already exist for me, which is fine. Downloads pretty quickly. They must have decent servers. My internet speed is only, it's like 300 megabits per second or something. So, and then I always let it record the log so that I can view that in case I have any problems. Then it pulls up the installer. Next, yes, sign away our life. Home, and it just puts this little key here. Next, no, don't want to register. Hit next, install desktop shortcut, install VI boot if you want that. Again, that's how you can boot up an image that you've made to make sure that it's a good image, or to do repairs or things like that. Then it will install, and it may throw an error at me because, again, I already have it installed. Yeah, I figured, so that's fine. We'll just say finish. It will just proceed through the installation and finish installing. Then open Macrium Reflect. You can see here all of my disks, and then we have here Western Digital this. Okay, what we want is to look at this GPT disk 2, and we will. Ooh, I actually just thought of one thing that I need to do before I pull up that disk. Okay, so now if I want to say image this disk, now here's where you need to make sure that you select the right disk. So it gives you the serial number of the disk and the model number of the disk. So for me it's easy because I only have the Western Digital 1 terabyte, I have the Kioxia NVMe 250 gig, and then I have the 5 terabyte. So I don't have any local 5 terabyte drive, so I know I'm not imaging this disk. So I look at my Kioxia NVMe and I say I want to image this disk. And then it's going to ask me where I want to put it. Hit folder, say making new folder, and we'll call this Echo 419 because that's what this PC is named. Say OK. Now, whenever I'm doing backups, I give it the name based on the folder name. I just let Macrium use the image ID because, again, it says use the image ID as the file name. Recommended. So don't mess with that. I just leave it alone. Now, if you're in the Windows version of this, it's going to ask you to create like a backup schedule. I'm not trying to use this as backup right now, so I'm just going to leave that alone. Uncheck everything in the backup plan. If you're going to use it for regular backups, then I can make a video on that if you want to see how that's done. I have set that up for people. I just don't use it because I don't really feel the need to have a full image backup of my drive. So we hit next. It's telling us, giving us a summary of what's going to be backed up. So you can see 141 gigabytes is going to be backed up. You hit finish, and then it's going to ask you, save this backup. If you uncheck run this backup now, you can't click OK. So we'll click uncheck save backup schedules as an XML, and then we will hit OK. And then it just gives us a progress indicator. And what we'll do is we'll just let this run. It can take a long time, especially if you're coming from an old mechanical drive or you have a lot of data to transfer. In my case, I'm going from NVMe to external USB mechanical drive over USB 3. So I foresee this not taking very long. Even still, I'm going to stop the recording for right now, and I'll bring it back up whenever it's finished. So it's 1 p.m. is when we started it-ish. 12:59:37 to be precise, and it'll tell us how long it took to complete when it's done. So, see you guys in a few seconds. Okay, so that's it. You can see image completed successfully in 16 minutes and 3 seconds. Let's go ahead and close this, close all this, close Macrium. Go on into my backup drive here. Let's go to Echo 419. And you can see right there, backing up is where it is. You can mount a disk like this using Macrium. I'll show you. If you want to mount OSC, you can enable access to restricted folders and make writable. See here, no changes or note changes are temporary and will be discarded. Hit OK. It assigns it a drive letter, and then here is an exact mirroring of my C drive. So if we go back over here, go to this PC, OSC, boom. Right there it is. Same exact file structure and everything. And if we go over to, where'd it go? Where's the drive now? If I close this, to unmount one of these drives, I think you go into here and find, I thought you had to find Macrium to unmount it, but I guess maybe not. Okay, so we did an image-based backup. If you were going to clone and you mounted your drive, your new blank empty drive externally, you would first need to go into disk management, which you can do Windows key R and then disk mgmt.msc. You can see all my disks here. You would see an uninitialized disk on there. And what you would do is just mount that disk and format it with a file system. And then you would be able to then hit clone this disk, and you would choose that blank disk as your destination. It's really important to make sure that you choose the right disk if you're cloning, because I could easily overwrite like my 5 terabyte archive or my main OS disk. You can clone a disk to itself. It's really, I think Macrium will get in your face about it and let you know. But you have to make sure you know what you're doing, because a lot of these programs assume that you know what you're doing. So this is going to be it for this video. This just shows you how you can create a backup image. The next piece is going to be to show you how to restore this image to a different disk. I'll probably do that in another video just because this one's getting really long already. Again, guys, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like. If you have questions or you have suggestions for other stuff you'd like to see, just drop a comment down below and I'll happily reply and maybe even make a video. If I use your comment as an idea for a video, I'll be sure and give you a shout out. Unless you tell me you don't want that, then that's fine. I can respect your privacy. But if you do, let me know, and I'll give you a shout out for your YouTube channel name or whatever. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.